Today, I interviewed an AI founder who didn't even think he was going to become an AI founder.
Wasn't the guy. Like, you asked me 3 years ago, hey, Salim, you're gonna be a founder? I told you no.
Now, he switched from the corporate to the founder lifestyle, and I had to ask him, should people be doing that?
It's not for everybody, dude. It's hurts.
And he gave us a massive warning about vibe-coded apps specifically.
You building a unique software is no longer the moat, right? Anybody can vibe code things together and just take credit for it. Like, you can no longer just say, hey, I've got a software.
My name's Haroon Nota, and welcome to the AI Founder Series.
Salim, it is great to have you on today. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. It's Monday. You got me on a Monday. It's a busy Monday, but I'm happy to be here with you.
Of course, man. Monday, there's a weird vibe on Mondays because it's like some people really, really hate them. And then I wake up on a Monday and I'm like, bro, let's get it. There's a lot of things to do. And it's like, I don't know. I just don't find it intimidating anymore.
I don't know. My Monday starts on Sunday. So like Sunday afternoon, like late afternoon is when I get back into it. And I'm like making sure that, things I need to get scheduled go out Monday morning and all that stuff. I don't want to be waiting until Monday morning for people to not see me.
Interesting. Now, let me ask you, what is utilITise and what inspired you to start that?
So it's utilITise for the record.
utilITise.
Think of it as IT as a utility, right? So look, I spent 15 years in enterprise IT and cybersecurity. And throughout that career, we always noticed that, hey, actually, we'll take back. I'm gonna tell you the real story of how this happened, right? So there's, of course, the IT, like that's definitely the background of this stuff, but the whole story starts with dinner, right? I'm at dinner a few years back with a buddy of mine. We're on double date, and me and him were talking about all this AI boom that's happening, ChatGPT and all that fun stuff. And his wife, mid-sentence stops us, and she's like, hey, that's great, but my laptop still doesn't work. And I'm like, that's valid. Like, that's totally valid because, my last company, 30% of our business was managed IT, and 10,000 tickets a month come in, and it's the same issues over and over again: password resets, onboarding, offboarding, device lockouts, the same nonsense over again. And we built systems. We built we made IT efficient. Like, we made the ticketing process efficient, but nobody stopped to think like, wait, how do we just make it work? And that's what gave birth to utilITise. And our North Star is very simple: a world where IT just works.
Interesting. Now, how long have you been in the IT industry for? For how many years?
It's been about 15 years now, man. I started my IT-ish career back at a company called White Fence during the dot-com boom. They were a utilities aggregator, so think of like your Comcast, Time Warner cables. Those were all my partners. We would drive leads and businesses to them through our utility sites. So you type in your address, you'd get like, hey, at my address, I get Comcast cable, I get AT&T wireless, whatever. So that was the website that kind of got me into it. But then a buddy of mine had started an IT services company, a managed services company. And a few years later, he comes to me and says, hey, look, I see what you guys do. I see what you do for that company. We don't do any marketing. We don't do any go-to-market stuff specifically like that. We're about 20 million. Can you come work for me and for me? And I was like, look, I don't know anything about tech. Like, I'm not an IT guy. That wasn't what I was. That's not my background. He's like, well, then go sell it. And I did. I went out as a sales rep, learned how to sell the product before I started marketing it. And I think that has been a core function of how I've been able to go deliver what I can with utilITise.
Interesting. And it's funny that you speak of market, because I did want to talk to you about that for a second. Going back before your IT history, at one point you were a marketing director for, I'm pretty sure, a jewelry company. Is that correct?
You went back in the days. You did the research. There's a big jewelry designer here. It was family-owned business, family of mine. And when I was in college, he had just launched this brand called Kohinoor Diamonds, which is still pretty famous now. And he wanted to become the premier diamond company for Indians or South Asians in all of Texas at minimum. And he brought me on and said, hey, look, come help me build this brand, help me build these things. And, I built his website with code back in the days. I HTML coded that thing.
What was that like?
And it's, it comes in handy now, right? Like, when you go through Python and you go through all these different coding mechanisms of JavaScript and stuff, and you're like, oh, like, it makes sense. I'm not a coder, right? But like going back and I'm like, oh yeah, I know what the codes mean. I know what to kind of make it make sense enough to like be dangerous. Now my development team will tell me to stay off of all that stuff because they're very much like, Salim, you're going to break something, which I have in the past. Let's be for real. But it's interesting as how that's evolved, and now it's all prompt based. But that's it's still a lot to go from there.
I did want to ask you that real quickly about AI and like coding, right? You have a little bit of experience in AI and coding for sure. So how do you think AI is utilized in that way? Like, do you 100% use it, or do you know people who 100% vibe code things, or do you still like to just manually review things when it comes to code?
Look, I think I've said this before in public statements a lot, right? Like you can't vibe code an enterprise company to life. Like that's not going to be a thing anytime soon. There's too many parameters. There's too many security risks. Like so in utilITise, AI is reason. So we use AI for reasoning, movement flowing, but software still executes, right? So we still deliver, execute, and Philip is our CTO, and she'll tell you very much so that because I push back on her a lot, like, hey, everybody keeps telling me about this AI is doing these things. And she was like, no, Salim. Yeah, and again, we have built architecture. So AI coding does allow us to go deliver like features. Like, hey, if I need to go, a customer asks for a feature, that time frame has come down significantly. What would take us weeks now takes us days. So it has helped from that perspective. But like our IP, which is our software, that's still traditional code. That's still reviewed pretty heavily because of the guardrails, right? We want to make sure that when software autonomously does things, it does it correctly. It's got its own guardrails to make sure that the agents do what they need to do. So it's very important. Of traditional code, it's still significantly important. Like you can't vibe code this stuff. But we brought on a vibe coder during the summer. We had an intern, Zed, who vibe coded a lot of things for us together, which was really cool, right? Like those are non-essentials. I think they're not core. They're core to operations, but not core to business, right? It's not the product that we're selling. It's it's not going to have any sensitive data in it. So that stuff he worked on was great. It pulled it all together, integrating billing, onboarding, customer interactions. Those are all stuff that looks great. That does great with vibe code, right? But I'm not going to go replace my HubSpot with CRMs that are vibe code already.
I'm glad you say that because I've talked to so many founders on this podcast and outside who use vibe code a lot, who vibe code a lot, but end up doing it almost a little too much. And even they realize in their tracks, they're like, hold on a minute, this is not safe, especially on the cybersecurity level, right? So if I may ask, how do you guys manage to use AI in your company while also managing your cybersecurity at the same time?
Again, I think it's about the biggest thing for us, that the rule of thumb for us is AI only makes decisions. AI only uses it for reasoning. It doesn't execute, right? Software still executes. We've spent decades developing software that does extremely respected execution, right? Like they are known for execution. We fine tune that, right? Every software today, that's how it works, right? So decisive action needs to come from software, traditional software, right? It can't come from AI. And because AI at this point is still not decisive, right? And the biggest thing that we use that ensures a lot of this stuff for us is we don't code. So if you understand how the system works, there are software, and I'm gonna get a little technical, so bear with me for one moment, and not too technical. But we integrate right into tenants, right? So Microsoft 365, Google Workspace. Now we're working with Ninja One and Cisco and a few others. We integrate right into the system, right? So we're not going to go install anything on your hardware or your software layers. And we're able to read the code that comes through the systems. So what that allows us to do is not actually convert that to natural language. So majority of our actions don't have to go to natural language. They all go code to code straight to the models. And that allows us to be very decisive. What's happening a lot of times is people are building wrappers around software. And it's good for certain cases, but for many cases, when it comes to security layers and stuff, like you don't own anything, right? You're basically just a wrapper. So it's really dependent on what the LLM will do and the models will do, which also increases tokenization significantly. Like our tokenization cost is extremely low, right? I spend more on compute than I do on tokens.
Wow. Wow. I don't hear that often because I hear everyone talking about how they're burning through tokens like it's no tomorrow. And then you're telling me that you burn through something else more than you burn through tokens, which is a good thing, in my opinion, because you're not overutilizing AI, which is, I think, is something that I've seen is a big problem.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's again, it's still software, right? We're in it's a software world, right? AI is just another tool to make it better, efficient, faster, but it's still software, and we got to live on that world, right? It's infrastructure.
Interesting. Now, building this company, in the time of building this company, what has been the biggest challenge?
Man, it's like flying a kite in a hurricane. Have you ever heard? I don't know if any of your readers are going to get that reference. It's a James Bond reference, but that's what it feels like. Because it's not just I'm trying to do like 10 things all at once, right? Like respond to emails, do operational, legal, like tech stack. What goes in the tech stack? What goes in legal agreements? We're working through a partnership relationship agreement right now and employee hire agreements. Fundraising and product development, and then outbound and inbound, right? Like marketing, branding, personal brand, like all these things are all happening at once. And it's a very limited team. It's very limited budgets. And, coming from a large enterprise to that becomes a whole different world. And I think that's the hardest part is just managing it all. And having my brain does things that I don't even know it does anymore. Like it's amazing to see the capabilities a human brain has, because it's like, man, I'm like I reflect sometimes and I'm like, man, I did a lot, and it's just flawlessly happens.
I love that.
Flawlessly. At least I feel like it's flawless. But it's definitely not.
At least you feel like you're moving somewhere.
Man, sometimes motion is not action, and a lot of people forget that. Like a lot of motion is great, but man, if there's no action at the end of the day, that motion is maybe just a waste of energy.
Exactly. I love that. Now, earlier you said to me that you've been in the IT industry. I'm pretty sure for how many years it was? 15, right?
About 15 years, yep.
15 years in the IT industry. So you saw IT before ChatGPT, before AI, LLMs at least became common. What was that like back then?
I feel like an old guy now that you asked me that question. I just had this conversation with my kids this morning, and I'm like, we went through the Google era, because the conversation started because my 8-year-old daughter had a question about something, and she was like, oh, just ask ChatGPT. And I'm like, girl, I was like, tell my wife, I was like, remember when they used to be Google it? That was the thing, and now we're like, oh, ChatGPT this? I'm like, this is crazy. Look, I think evolution is great, right? And this is it's interesting to see how things evolve, right? I would compare the AI boom to two things, right? One is the mobile OS world, right? Like that allowed us to go remote, right? That remote work environment, it became accessible because of the whole mobile environment that exploded, right? Being able to check your emails and stuff on your phone instead of a BlackBerry, like that whole environment is crazy. And then the cloud, right? The cloud, which, when we deployed cloud for the first time to customers, look, at the end of the day, it's just a wording manufacturing, right? So cloud has been around for a long, long time before AWS and Google, GCP, and all these things erupted. It was just somebody's data center, and we used to make fun of people because they would say, "Oh, we want to go to the cloud." I'm like, dude, it's just somebody else's data center. Like it's just somebody else's building. That's all it is. Like, because networks existed, data centers. When I joined eNet, which eventually became Computex, we had a data center in our office. Like up the second floor of our building was a full data center that customers hosted their environment on. That was the cloud before the cloud was the cloud, right? Like, so it's interesting to see how that just evolves a little bit. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I think more and more people will adopt. I still hear that AI is still the least adopted technology in enterprise businesses today. While cloud was still a kind of a hey, I used to talk to CIOs and be like, hey, they'd be like, oh, I'm never moving email to the cloud, and we would be like, yeah, sure, let's see how long you last in that job, because we know very fact you are going to eventually move to M365 in the cloud, and you're not going to hesitate because the cost is so much cheaper than you storing all these files on your servers.
Interesting. Like what you just said about, oh, I'm not going to move to the cloud. It's kind of like how people say, oh, I'm not going to move to AI, or I'm not going to implement AI. Like you need to have it somewhere, not as the backbone to everything, but you need to have it somewhere just so that you can keep up with the times and so that you don't lose in the market.
I think, yeah, agreed. Like I think you need to advance. Advance is the key, right? I don't know if you're a book guy, but the biggest popular book in this space is like the Innovator's Dilemma, right? Where a lot of times that the biggest opportunities get missed right in the middle. And Elon Musk is very famous for the reason why he's an efficient entrepreneur is very much is that he focuses on the nuances of a middle thing of throughput, right? If you look at throughput as a product, of how fast you could produce product and things to market, throughput always gets stuck somewhere. So he's very minuscule about getting micromanaging that throughput problem so that he solves throughput, right? Like you look at the data centers, you look at the Tesla builds, stuff like that. That's why he is there. So I think people that forget about the middle and saying, hey, look, they're worried about, hey, can I fix the top or can I fix the bottom, right? The top revenue or the bottom EBITDA. They forget the middle, and the middle usually is where everybody wins.
Interesting. Now, let me ask you this. I asked you what was the industry like before AI. Now, let me ask you, what was your reaction when you saw ChatGPT, when you saw these LLMs becoming popular? Were you, because I've had multiple responses. I've had some people tell me they saw the opportunity. Some people were absolutely fearful of it. And then some people were like, you know what? I see the opportunity in it. What was your reaction when you saw LLMs?
Look, I think one is of course super amazed, right? Like I am. This is amazing. My first reaction always is I'm a first principle guy. I was like, how does this even work, right? So I can tell you, we could go into a different conversation around like how neural engines work and how the black box is effective, and the whole idea of how the large language models actually work and how artificial intelligence traditionally works, right? So I did the research on that. And again, I've been in the tech space for a while, right? I ran technology alliances, so how infrastructure works, how network works, how cloud works. These are things that I understand. So when AI boomed, or at least entered the market, specifically ChatGPT, like I was the one playing with it. Like I went down the system and said, hey, look, I need to go get a subscription. I need to go figure out what this is and just go play with it, right? I'm very good at just playing with things, right? Just give me something. Let me just go test this theory out. And it became extremely well, and now it's literally like I'm on it all the day long. Um, yeah, all day long I'm doing something with some sort of AI model, and it's great. And of course, that's what led to what utilITise was, right? That's what helped build the product. That's what helped build me the software. That gave me the confidence to say, hey, look, can I go do this? I couldn't do this without AI. Like, there's no way I would have built this company myself without AI today. Like, it would just have been impossible.
Interesting. Now, out of your career, I'm talking about from straight out of college to now, what would you say, and this is a pretty broad question, but what would you say is your biggest win or your proudest moment that you're like, I'm glad I did this?
Look, I think that last company was great, right? Computex, that whole ride was amazing, right? We took that company from 20 million to 300 before IPOing and selling. That whole experience was a whole learning experience, right? I got to be in the front of the rooms. I got to go, negotiate deals. I got to learn how the politics of the C-suite works. Those are very insightful things that people don't understand, right? It's not all about, can I do my job really well? It is all about what outcomes can I bring to the table, and I think that's something you learn when you're in a career for so long. So I think, I've had the pleasure of hosting a lot of events. I've been at South by. I've spoken for Adweek. I'm on Forbes councils. Like it's been, I've done a lot of things in the career path, but I think, I don't know how, like outside of work, right? I'll tell you a couple things, right? One is I'm super connected to the with this artist Smiley community, right? So the nonprofit, the religious community that we have, and they do a lot of nonprofit activities. And I've been doing nonprofit activities with them since I was 16, right? Think of we led sports leagues and sports tournaments, and I've project managed 800 athletes coming into Chicago from both U.S. and Canada, with 600 volunteers reporting in, right? And while I was in college. So I think there's outside of career, there's little big milestones that have happened over time, that I think are very creditable, and which has also led to what I've been able to accomplish in professional life, right? Is all these other things and saying, hey, look, can I go deliver this? And some guy was like, hey, yeah, this kid can do it. And clearly they trusted me in doing that, and I did, right? So I think there's multiple proud moments that I would say.
I'm glad. Like just not one thing. You're like, no, it spans not only just professionally, but personally when you're working for that. But speaking of personally, you mentioned to me earlier that you have a kid. What's it like managing your career with a kid, like just in your life? What was that like having a newborn or just like watching them grow up?
So I have two kids. One now is 11, one is 8. Career-wise, I think there's a split, right? There's a career portion of this, and then there's like hey, now you're startup, and that's a whole different space, right? Look, career-wise, I think is great, right? I think when you are well into a career, you have a lot of flexibility, you have a lot of trust, and you have a lot of experience to provide them, right? So I think when I was in the career mode, I got a lot of opportunities to hang with the kids, do what they do. Um, and I think people forget that, right? People all gung ho. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to be a startup. And I think I think it's not for everyone. I think there's a thin line for those that are crazy enough to do it. Um, but I think there's a huge value in also working somewhere, right? I think there's huge value for both life and like what they call it, work-life balance. I don't know if that's literally the right word. I don't think there's a balance. I think it all just comes together, right? Like you just manage around the schedules, you manage around things, and things just happen. You just got to keep it on all the time.
I like that. Now, where do you see util? I'm sorry, I keep on saying it wrong. How do I say it?
utilITise.
utilITise. Where do you see that in the next couple of years? Where do you see it going?
Look, right now we are in the midst of everything. I think what we have been building towards, right? I think can we build a product? We built a product. Can we bring on customers? We brought on customers. Now we're at this, we're still trying to figure out product market fit, to be real, right? Like we've got customers, we've got product, but now we're getting inbound. We're getting this like very unique like opportunities at different platform levels, right? Either it's MSP or if it's complete or if it's enterprise level, if it's channel partners going through different vendors. Like we're in this huge commotion of things, which is great, right? Because our goal is to become platform, right? And if we can integrate all these into the platform and then grow it, I think that becomes the explosive growth that every startup wishes for, right? So right now we're in the cusp of that, and I think it's going to be make it or break it time for us. But I'm excited. Like it's all led up to this, and I think every time there's going to be a milestone that happens. But you know we're in it right now, so you know what's next is platform validation, and then we can get this thing off to the moons.
I love that. And what advice would you have for someone who's a young or aspiring founder, tech or not?
Well, first I'll tell them that again, like I said earlier, like it's not for everybody, right? Everybody has this ideal, and like part of it's social media, part of it's like this founders hustle thing. Like, look, man, I wasn't the guy. Like, you asked me 3 years ago, hey, Salim, you're gonna be a founder. I told you no. I'm like, I can take your idea and 10x it, but was I gonna go build something on my own? No. Until I got obsessed with a problem, and like just certain things in life, momentum hit it all at the same time. That's what kind of sparked and said, hey, let's go try it. Let's go do this thing, right? It's not for everybody, dude. It's hurts. Like, you know, there was a quote that somebody shared in one of our WhatsApp chats of a former Uber CEO, and not Uber CEO, but former the founder of Uber talked about, like, look, there's one pillar that changes everything, right? The pillar is I can take more hurt than the next guy. That's it. That's the number one pillar that causes you to move forward, is how much hurt can you take? And it hurts. And you think of every cliche of a founder, I'm going through them. It sucks. I thought, oh, I would be the exception to the rule. I planned better. I did this later in life. Like, these are all things. Nope. Every cliche has happened, is continuing to happen. And it's just like a, so one is look, just because everybody wants to be a founder doesn't mean you should be a founder. The other thing is know the industry, know the problem. Right now, the application, the software, the AI is no longer your moat. You building a unique software is no longer the moat, right? Anybody can vibe code things together and just take credit for it. Like, you can no longer just say, hey, I've got a software. But domain knowledge, security, understanding what the process is and how it should happen, and then being able to reconfigure things, right? Like, you know, what led to what is utilITise is like, look, if you look at the process, right? You have an issue, you know, locked out of a system, whatever IT issue you have, you detect it, you basically say, hey, okay, I saw it. It's somebody has to look at a dashboard, or somebody, you know, detects the issue. Okay, now I'm gonna open a ticket. Now I'm gonna wait for somebody to answer that ticket. Somebody's gonna diagnose it, and then they're gonna go solve the problem, right? Why does that process even exist? Technology is so advanced, right? Why are we still even opening tickets for many things, right? So what we built was we didn't just say, hey, look, let's figure out how to resolve the issue faster. Let's just resolve the issue as it happens, or even before it happens, right? So you don't have to open a ticket, right? 50% of our issues are fixed before even somebody notices. And that's the benefit of what people are building now, right? Is like, hey, can I figure out why this process, this department even exists? Because we've over time built departments that manage tools. Like, why do we have departments that manage tools, right? You don't need that anymore, right? So one is understand the domain, right? You have to have a domain knowledge. If you're just going to come out of college and say, hey, I'm going to go to Y Combinator because I have a crazy idea, maybe you do. But the math shows me that most of those fail. And there's a reason for that, right? So my thought to you guys is, look, if you got some crazy idea and you just got some super traction overnight, great. Go play on that. But go work somewhere. Go throw Apple logo on your career. Go throw a chevron or a shell on your career LinkedIn profile or resume or whatever. I promise you that'll go farther than you trying to hit and miss at an early stage.
Interesting. Now, we are running a bit short on time. So, Salim, let's hit the rapid fire. Are you ready?
Let's go, man.
All right. Claude or ChatGPT?
Believe it or not, I'm ChatGPT. I recently moved all my workloads off of Claude into ChatGPT. They've just significantly improved over the last couple of months, and I'm telling you, it's getting way better.
Interesting. Okay. Do you like to work from an office or do you like to work from anywhere in the world?
Dude, I'm an office guy. Like, if I have the choice and the budgets, I would build an office and have everybody come into the office. I'm that guy. I think there's so much value in being in front of people, seeing people and talking to people. So office for sure.
Interesting. Do you like to wake up to an alarm or do you like to just wake up anytime you happen to wake up?
I'm an alarm. I'm a 4:30 a.m. guy, bro. The alarm goes off at 4:30 in the morning. I'm at the gym by 5. We're an alarm people. We're definitely waking up on time. Now sleep doesn't have an alarm, but I live by my calendars.
Interesting. When you have a task at hand, do you like to just grind it out until it's done, or do you like to take it in segments and breaks?
Look, I will tell. It depends, right? It depends on what the timelines are. But I'm in it for the long run, right? This is not personal health, and health itself is very important, both physical, emotion, and mental. All that is all very important. So if you're in it for the long run, dude, grinding, you're eventually going to hit a wall. And that wall is going to cost you 10 times more. I've done it before. I know exactly how it goes, right? So I am the one that'll okay, if I can spread this out and there's certain things that I can just let's see, do I need to pull an all-nighter for this, or can I just, do it tomorrow? How much delta is there in this project? And that's how I'll decide and say, hey, look, what do I do? But for the most part, let's break this thing up.
Interesting. Do you like energy drinks or coffee?
I'm a coffee snob. Like, my morning has to go off with a good coffee. However, in the afternoon, there's a good chance that I'll pick up an energy drink.
What's your favorite?
I like Bloom. I definitely like Bloom.
Bloom? Really? Are we
Bloom.
forgetting Celsius, Red Bull?
Red Bull gives me the weirdest crashes. Like, I don't like
the sugar-free one. The sugarfree one specifically.
Sugar-free one gives me the crashes. Yeah, I don't know. Celsius I did for a while. Recently, couple things. One is I'm former CMO, right? So like marketing, I have a lot of marketing friends, and I have a lot of friends at Bloom. So that also inspires me. Like, I got to promote people that I know. But I don't know. I when I switched to Bloom, I started liking the Bloom. So I just Bloom it is.
Interesting. Now, the last and most important question that we have actually gotten people that have gotten this question wrong: cereal before the milk or milk before the cereal? Brother, this is a serious question.
Dude, the reality is I don't care. The reality is it's not that serious for me, but I will tell you the cereal for me goes before the milk, but I am indifferent on how that works. It does not matter to me.
No, it does change because one keeps your cereal just a little bit softer just so it's nice in your mouth, and then the other one doesn't even allow you to put that much cereal in the bowl. That's the difference.
Not that serious, bro.
It very much is that serious. But Salim, it was honestly, yeah.
No. I don't eat a lot of cereal. That's probably part of the reason. But
yeah, man. But yeah, it was honestly great having you on today. Seriously, everyone go check out all his links. They're going to be down there. And I want to real quickly, before I end this off, I want to say how I found you, which was on Instagram with your chair swinging. I'll put it up on the video real quickly. You swing your chair up front and you sit down and you start talking. And I just absolutely love that. That's how I found you, funny enough.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. So everyone go check it out. Go like his chair swinging videos. They're all going to be in the bio and the description of this video. And Salim, it was wonderful having you on today.
Thank you.